Welcome, fellow friendly scrapbookers, to the second episode, another episode of Saturday Scrap, the weekend scrapbooking with me, your host, Tiffany Emanuel. I am going to be working on a digital scrapbook page using my trusty Photoshop CC 2019, and I hope that you enjoy this little presentation of doing some fly by the seat of my pants digital scrapbooking because, hey, why not? During this time of so many things just happening that it's hard to keep up, it's always nice to be creative and get some of that scrapbooking out and just enjoying being present and in life. So here we are today. I have opened up a really old scrapbooking template that you guys are going to get just really modified, really updated. I first made this template back in 2013, so it's at least 7 years old. And it's flat. It's got a little bit too big photos. The photos are okay, but it just needs a little bit of updating, which I will actually do as I continue. But it has the right amount of photo spaces. Maybe I might need to add another one. But it has kind of the signature look that I love, which allows me to add just a few photos, really nice areas for a lot of embellishing. And I seem to love to put areas on my page which contrast with another separate area. So you'll see over here, there's a lot of white space. Doesn't mean that I'll actually use white back there, maybe a solid color, a pattern, who knows. But it contrasts with this area. And if you've ever used one of my templates and you see this, it means do something that's going to draw the eye somewhere else. That's really what it means. I picked out about 3 or 4 photos of my son in a Monsters Inc. Well, that's Mike Wazoski, but in his Monsters Inc. kind of uniform. Back in the day when we got this shirt, this was his favorite shirt. He loved Monsters Inc. He absolutely loved Mike Wazoski. That was his go-to guy. And then he was just, just look at the face, just cuteness oozing all over him. And I happened to snap a few photos one day before he was preparing to go to preschool. And these were his photos. There's one photo I won't include. He'd be so embarrassed, not just in the scrapbook layout, but if I put on camera. He's 9 now, so you can, he's in that phase where it's like, I don't know about all these photos, Mom. But here, his shorts are falling down. And so the next photo that I took, his shorts actually did fall down. So we're going to keep this one, but I won't use the following photos, even though they're just cuteness. And I have another photo of him. We were on our deck in our apartment, and we got him because, again, he loved Mike Wazoski. We got him a little Mike Wazoski hat and the Halloween costume from Target. And he was so tiny. He had this like the extra small, and he was so tiny he still couldn't fit in it. So he actually didn't wear it for Halloween because he was scared. He did not want to go out and trick or treat because he was so tiny. He was so scared of all the different costumes. But I actually have one in his uniform. He wore it around the house. And then he has another one where he's sitting on the steps in our apartment. And I just couldn't get good lighting in our apartment that day, but we took him anyway. So those are the 3 and or 4. You can see the little Monster University hat. Oh, it's the cuteness that I hope to put on this single layout. The thing is that while I'm doing Saturday Scrap, I'm going to be working on layouts that I don't plan to use in my classes. These are just random layouts that I hope to put into my children's books. And I have one set of albums for my daughter, one set of albums for my son, and then my Project Life albums, which are just monthly double page layouts. And I'll get to that soon. But I'm just trying to, fill out these books that I haven't been able to fill out in the last few years and have some fun scrapbooking. So these are not specifically layouts I would build for my classes because they just use really good solid design, really great solid techniques, but nothing over the top. That doesn't mean that you won't pick up some tricks. So I'm glad that you're here to follow along. And the kit that I'm choosing to use, of course, let me see if I can find It's a humongous kit. This one is by Studio Flurgs, one of my favorite designers when it comes to these kind of thematic things. And this kit is called Remember the Magic Monster Mash, and it's by Studio Flurgs over at Sweet Shop Designs. And this is just a phenomenal kit. It has some great papers that are reminiscent of the movie, some styles, some scatters, she calls them. Shimmering paper. She's got some journaling cards. I bought the whole collection. Great embellishments. And this really fun alpha. I love this alpha down here too, but this is just an amazing, phenomenal alpha. And with this open in my bridge, I'm just going to scroll up. And that's typically one of the first things I'm going to do is look at all of the pieces in the kit, kind of see the things that I know that I'm going to add, what things are going to be in the background, what things can go in the foreground. And honestly, I look at all of this stuff and I just want to include it all. I wish I had about 300 more pages that I could do featuring Monsters, Inc. We got to go to Disney. We were planning on going in 2021. However, who knows if that will manifest itself out right now. But these are the kinds of things that just make me want to go places to just scrapbook about them. It's probably an expensive hobby for that reason, right? You know, you see a kit, and because you saw the kit, now you want to scrapbook these things. So I'm just looking at, here's the amazing, let me just look at that. It's just so creative. There's great shadowing right there to make it look dimensional. And yeah, I'm a sucker for kits like this. This is probably why I do a ton of thematic pages. I just don't do them in the classes. So with that said, let me go ahead and actually start scrapbooking. The first thing I want to start out by saying is I'm going to look at this kit. I never, ever, ever get rid of a kit. I just want to say that. Or I never even get rid of a template. I have 3 externals sitting here. I probably have an extra external somewhere from over the last 15 years of scrapbooking, digital scrapbooking, and thankfully, as time has moved on, the externals have grown in the amount of terabytes or gigabytes, that it holds. But there's always a way to update things. Kits that are not mine, of course, maybe not, but templates for sure, because these are just objects, So you can always update the look of a template and make it work. And that's probably why I have thousands that are sitting on my hard drive. Most of them I've made, but others that I've picked up from designs that I just adore. So even though this template, might be 7 years old, I can certainly update it in such a way that it still is going to be fun. The main things are that, for these areas, it's more so directed by placement. So I'm not worried about the colors as much, but I do want to say, hey, you know what? I think this photo area might just be a little bit too big. So I might relax that a little bit. I don't want to get rid of the framing parts, but I do want to say, hey, I want to keep this area as a photo. And I know I've got some embellishments to add here, so I'll work the framing in back here. And I know I've got a couple of pieces to add in. But if I did a 4th photo, it might be somewhere around here to make it look cool. There's so many different ways to update it, and I don't need that journaling there. So embellishments here, embellishments right there, but those frames kind of made it look dated. Also, these shadows, these are all very flat shadows, so I would come in and probably make them pop out a little bit more. And I'm using my own champion style shadows that created for the classroom. If you're looking for a group of shadows that have the individual styles that I'm using, you can find them in my shop at shopsimplytiffanystudios.com. They are called the Shadow Fundamentals, and they're only $2.99. And you get 12 shadows with that. They're perfect for Photoshop and Elements users. You can mix, match, and alter them and shadow like a pro, like myself. I consider myself a pro some days. And you'll find shadows for flat papers, photo corners, brads, eyelets, chipboard, raised papers, flat flowers, washi tape, staples, popped papers, flares, stitches, dimensional flowers. And you can pick them up, and they're available at my shop. And they are the same shadows that I use here to get the looks that I like to make things raised, chopped, paper popped. They are the ones that we use in our classroom over in the Champions classroom. So first thing I always do is typically I'm going to grab the photos. And for this one, I want to start off with the photos that I plan to be my main focal photo. Now, I kind of have a choice here. I can put this photo, reduce it down, and put it here with this one right here. It's going to be a little bit tough just because the whole point of this is to get the Mike Wazoski in there. So I kind of have to cut him off a little bit, and I don't want to do that. It's like I might be able to enlarge the circle, and I just reduced it, right? But it's cool. It happens. So let me try that. But another way that I could do it is actually put it over here and move the pieces here. But I put the photo here, but I don't feel like I want to do that. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back in my history panel. Now that I see it, and that's one of the great things about scrapbooking on the cuff is that, yep, you don't know how it needs to look until it comes all together. But just for that particular photo, I'm going to need a bigger, more substantial circle just so I can get Mike Wazoski in there. Because that is the whole point, right? The whole point is to get little Mike's eye in there. And if it's not a circle, it's not a circle. I may have to just ditch that. That may be one of the major problems, is because Mike Wazoski is down here. I just need it to be a different orientation. This needs to have more rounded corners, so let me bump that up on the corner, and knowing me, I probably did 100, right on the money. And let's just drag the shadow to here, and let's clip it. Much better. And let's see, I'm just gonna drag this out a little bit, drag it down. I am not a fan of photo sizes that aren't just your typical photo size. Like I wouldn't say it's square or rectangle, but if something like this, it would be like, what is that? It's just me. I don't know. I'm crazy like that. That gets him more into the view, and I can still reduce down the size of the photo so that I get a little bit more of his forehead and it doesn't crop awkwardly. There we go. Wonderful. Perfect. That's what I'm looking for. I want to get the hands in there because I love the little hands, the little apprehensive hands. And amazing. Awesome. Okay. Look at all the cuteness oozing. And I have a couple more photos I want to get in here. I'm not sure if I want to use that one. And see if they kind of line up. Get that one in there. This to me is another really cute photo, but I'm going to leave it smaller. Because it's kind of it's kind of the same photo as the other one that I already have in there, so I don't feel like I need to expose this one as much. And because he's literally like in the same direction, I'll probably flip it. There we go. And again, he doesn't want to remember that his pants were coming down, so I'm going to do it like that. Awesome. And then I have, this is the one I'm not too sure of because it's kind of dark, and I don't know if you can notice it, but he's out of focus. I got the background, which happens. You take photos. This one was with my camera, and I did not realize that it was so grainy. It was really dark, and I had to lighten it up, and it just didn't come out very well. But it's still oozing with cuteness, so why not? Gotta use it, right? Because if this is all you have, I'm certainly not going to put him back in that Mike Wazoski, even though it's absolutely adorable, because he can't fit it. He's 9. It's not as cute. They get older and they don't look as cute. I'm just playing. They're cute. Okay, so I've got my 3 photos in there. And if I can somehow, actually, I'm going to leave that one up for a second. If I can somehow manage or finagle the 4th photo in there, I will. I love to blend, and if I can make the blending look, I will. So I'm going to save this real quick and start adding papers and embellishments. With the photos populated, now what am I going to use to create this page? And I kind of always start with patterns and papers, just because it's kind of hard for me to know how much embellishing to add or how little embellishing to add if I have if I haven't really started off with the kinds of patterns and the backgrounds. So I don't know, there's just so many papers to choose from. My gosh, so many great things to choose from. Some, a lot of these are the patterns that the monsters had, or wallpaper. Love this little sock sitting up here. That's super duper cute. I love these papers. Seen them somewhere, but I love them. Sully's fur. It's just, and then there's these glitter papers. Ooh la la. There's just so many to choose from, and kind of hard sometimes when you have this many options. Options are a great thing. You want a lot of options. The more options you have, the easier it is to build the page, but also the harder, because now you have to settle upon something. And I kind of feel like I want to just build out some pattern papers. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I know I am definitely feeling this kind of, what do I want to do? But I'm going to start off with something that's going to contrast with yellow, because my son is wearing yellow. So I know that if I go with something that's going to be black, maybe the star paper might be a little bit too much depending on how many pieces I add. But I know if I go at least start off with a black in the background, well, who does not love black and yellow? Either you're a B fan or you're a Steelers fan. You got to be one or the other. So I might say, black and yellow is where I want to begin. And once I have that settled, then that gives me some options as far as, well, do I want to add a pattern? How much pattern do I want to add? And this sometimes can be one of the hardest spots for me, because I need to, I need to have an idea of what it needs to be. So it is honestly the thing that I change probably the most. So let's say if I did this, let's just, for the sake of moving on, let's say that if I put this half paper as the yellow, it just adds so much going on here. It's just immediately, it's like boom, bada bing, I've got a lot going on. And these are strong colors. So I would do something like red, maybe, to not clash so much. And then the red gives me a chance to build other things upon it. So let me get rid of all of these extra little pieces. I might keep those because I can always put something on top of them, but I don't need these fillers anymore. And the stitches, I don't need them because I know what I need to add. But I just love the general direction of the photos. It helps so much to know which way I need to go and which direction. So now I can add a little bit more papers to these pieces, a little paper piece here, and maybe something like that takes into consideration all of the colors. And this is the cool part about building something off the cuff. You really don't know what's going to work until you just try it out and see. And that's one of the things that I love about it, doing something like this. I just feel like orange is a better color than red, actually. Try that. Yeah, that sings a little bit more with this orange here and the yellow and a little bit of green that we have going on here. Speaking of green, we need to definitely get more green in there. And, you know, I could use something like this in the background to help emphasize green. And that's exactly the main reason why I know I need to use a neutral color back there. Because I know that I'm going to be adding little things like this to help fill in those gaps. And if I have too much color, it won't look right. Too much color in the paper. So I don't see any more scatters. I'm going to use this one because, of course, it's got the Mike Wazoski eye. Reinforce the theme. Put that one maybe down here. Jut out a little bit more. And then I'm going to duplicate that one and just overlap it under this part just so it has something that looks a little bit different. But it's not as obvious because I'm not going to put that eyesore out there. But I just need something right there to kind of balance it out. My title is going to be probably here, and it's going to be pretty big. And then you see how something's so quick, it just comes together really quickly. I want to put something here, so there's that again. Nice little ribbon. And put it over these pieces, but certainly under the other parts. Add a shadow to it, and I might just reduce it down so that it's smaller than this paper here. Just so you get like a little pop of color separating those pieces. Not done at all. Let's do a little bit more trim. You can never have enough trim. That sounds like it should be a rap song, you know? You can never have enough trim. No, yeah. I can't rap to save my life, so I'm not even going to do it to you. But I feel like I've heard people say trim as a thing, you know? I don't even know what trim is. And there we go. And I'm just going to probably rotate it just a little bit. Rotate that one the opposite way. Because when you're working with paper, if you're working with something that looks like paper, it never kind of, you know, you glue it down, it never looks right, right? It's never perfect. Except Kathy Zelski's stuff. When she does paper, it looks perfect every single time. But not so much for me. And I'm just wondering if that orange is the right. And I don't feel like I see something in the kit that would work a little bit more unless it was this paper. And I forget what this monster's name was who had this. It's been so long since I've seen the movie. It used to be an everyday thing that my son would watch for a little while, you know, and he loved it. Wow, that just has so much texture in it. That's cool. Yeah, we'll leave it. That might work a little bit better. And then we have these little cute monsters that need to go in. Oh, there's just so much to add. I'm going to get rid of these. I don't need them. There's just so much to add. Lock that down and move that around here like as a tab, which gives me a lot more room to play around. Yeah, I'm not loving this paper. I'm just going to leave it there like that. I'm just going to leave it there like that because I can't figure out what I want. It's just too much texture. Everything I add is too much texture because I know the explosion that's about to come up next. So let me not worry about it. All right, let's add some embellishments. I am such a sucker. I think I've said this. I am such a sucker for these little things. I really, really am. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is the part where I look at my pieces and I go, it's just not working. Something is not working. Okay, so is it this paper? I feel like, yeah. It's the contrast is really throwing me off. And I know I've got to add something to kind of help balance it out because it's just not working correctly. And that's better. I feel like that's a little bit more relaxed and that helps me out a little bit more. And I'm still trying to figure out what I want to put there. And I got it. There we go. It's the blue. So let's try that. That works a little bit better. This paper doesn't work there now. So let's go with the combination we know. Blue, orange, and yellow. That's interesting because it's the same pattern. How interesting. Okay, well then let's lose that little paper piece all in its entirety. And we'll just rely on the embellishments. Okay, Mike, you chill here for a sec. Let's build out the embellishments, see if we can get some structure here. So like adding this flower in when we're using the same colors, it pops, it's cool, but it doesn't have anything that helps create that contrast. So I need things that are an opposite color because it's getting too close to the same colors. And I'm not sure, I don't know if you guys ever think about that, how, you know, your colors that you're using, if they become too similar on your palette, on the page that you're building, it starts to everything starts to slide into one another. That's what we're talking about right there. And so it needs other things to kind of help it regroup, help it kind of stand out so things start to really, really pop. And that's what I'm looking for, is I need some things that are going to contrast with this blue and black. And what I'm trying to build, there we go, is I want it to look like all of the stuff is happening in the center and going down the center, I think. Put some flowers behind that. My flowers are huge. Might have to reduce them down, but that's okay. Raise shadow real quick. And my shadows have to kind of stand out. They have to do a little bit more work just because I'm on black paper. I don't think I'm going to have to significantly alter them, but I think that they're going to want to be altered just because of how strong these pieces are. Just kind of looking through all of the other embellishments here. Okay. Add a little bit more foliage. See, lots of green. Because we got green over here, right? So we have to balance that out with some colors that contrast with this look. I've got a lot of stuff open here. All right, we'll use a little flower dimensional peep for that. And yeah, you can see just by adding something else, it helps me go, oh, color, extra, something, anything, you know, to kind of help balance out what is becoming this, you know, a darker kind of layout, too dark. So we're going to add a little bit more embellishments. And of course, Monster's going to help fill that out. That is so cool. Look how big that is. Oh, I kind of want him to be that big, but I know that is not absolutely the most necessary thing to make him that big, but I just love how big that monster is. Okay, where's the best place? I know I have a title to sneak in here at some point. So I'm not exactly sure. I kind of want the monster, you know, poking out from the side here. That would be such a great embellishment if I can get it to work right. It's like I like it big because it feels better. But then I don't know if I need it to be that big. That's cute, I think. That's a lot. Okay. Something like that. Let me see what else we have here. There's a lot of little anchor points. Now plain, that would be cute. Oh, the stars, of course. Okay, give me an orange star. That was Mike. Those are the glasses. I've used that. That's the card. And then I have my 3 photos. And I don't know if I'm going to need them in a different way. So, add a little shadow. And I'm just kind of rounding out this embellishment cluster over here. How cool are these things? Let me put something behind there. Oh, I do love that. Stitching shadow. There we go. Something flat. And reduce the size of these down for sure. And I'm going to put it behind the embellishment. Keep grabbing my paper. There we go. And maybe these are a little bit more relaxed than, let's say, I could use those, but I also want to try and work these in, and maybe these are just too big. Let me find something that contrasts with that a little bit more. So yeah, it's quite a lot once you add these in. But I just feel like if I don't, I'm not going to be happy. There we go. I think I'm getting a little bit more balance and it's starting to feel a lot stronger. Make sure that is a very big shadow. Get this red a little bit more. Twist them up. And I think I saw that there was a black. Oh, I thought these were leaves. It's not. But see how they feel kind of tucked up in here. Here we go. Still adding contrast. Kind of makes him look like he has a hat on, you know. Always worried about that with the boys. With the girls, not so much, but with the boys, yes. So if we add Mike, if this page is about Mike, you got to have Mike in there. Kind of like I'm going like this. That's the general flow. If it's not apparent yet, that is my general flow of my page here. There we go. Just going to tilt that a little bit and duplicate this one and add it again over here. Down there a little bit. And I'm going to reduce the size of this flower so I have some contrast as far as size. That looks good. And yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. So I need something over here. Oh, perfect. Not for over there, but I was saying to myself, I need something else red. There we go. Not going the same direction as the other star. Something like that. Okay, I am okay with how this one looks over here, except it needs this. You know, you can just tell. It just needs that. And we put it above here. You know, I kind of like that it's dark like that. Add a stitching style to it. Yeah, I kind of like that it's dark, actually. Yeah, something like that. Perfect. It's getting there. And word art, yeah, totally. Let's try the blue. Oh, that's huge. I don't know if I can get away with it. Could do something like scare floor. Yeah, let's try that. And good. Okay, now I need something that's going to kind of bridge or dangle into the section over here. So I think that might be a good time to pop one of these guys back in there. And I want it to flow in this general direction, so having something there is better than nothing. And where is Mike Wazoski's eye? We're going to put that right back smack dab in there. But we'll put the eye. I don't know if this is going to look right. We'll see. You try it out. Put the eye and Mike Wazoski together. That looks so weird. But I like it. Oh, you gotta live a little. Let's do something like that. And get this guy in there because it just makes sense. To have the monsters in there. I don't know where I'm gonna put them yet, but I totally gotta get that guy in there somewhere. Okay, an eye next to an eye is not gonna work, so I might drag this one down here. Or maybe peeking out over there somewhere. I know my general direction is gonna go like this. Kind of hard without a title, but I do want to balance out this embellishment area. I think that makes more sense. I want to balance out this with something else over down here. So let's see what I've got. Definitely have some dimensional flowers I could use, and then I have the flowers that came with this. So maybe... Maybe the green's not going to be too bad. Let's try it out. Because it's just so much, it's a lot of green at this point. And that's where the paper comes in, makes it so, it's just so important with the background paper. I still feel like yellow makes it really lively. Oh, what the heck. Let's try this. I want to get more patterns in there, and somehow I'm going to have to work it in. But it just feels like it's too busy by keeping the patterns in there. And that'll gives me more opportunity to do some more stuff. So I'm going to try it like that. And I'm going to put this one over the photo. But that's the cool thing when you're doing stuff like this, when you're building layouts, is yeah, you don't know what's going to work until you give it a try. And make some mistakes. And because we're digital, we can do that. Totally okay. Because if it doesn't work, you just go, hey, you know what? That didn't look like the way that didn't come out the way that I expected it. So, or it's certainly not going in the direction that I originally thought I was going to go in. I don't know if I can work that flowering. It just doesn't work. Okay. Get this one. I'm going to reduce the size down so it doesn't look exactly like the other one that's in there. And okay, it's coming along. It's not there, but it's getting there. Get rid of that piece. And I feel like it was going to go in that direction, but now it's just going this way. And I'm just going to embrace that. Totally okay. And now I'm setting up to deliver, or to build, I should say, to build this next somewhat harder embellishment grouping to build. It still needs to have, if it's going to have a flower, it needs to have some foliage. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to grab these pieces here and bring it down. Try not to hide the Mike Wazoski guy. And I think this flower needs to come back because it contrasts with that yellow. I'm not sure how I want to get it in, but I know I need it. It's kind of weird that, you know, you move the eye around and it's still looking at you. Not sure how I want to get in there, but I need something dark. Let's see what I got to work with. I think I saw one that was a frame. It was the door. Yeah, something maybe. Let's see if I can get that one in. Might be able to. I don't know. Don't want to put it over my photos though. Okie doke. And what else? Oh, it's cutting off over here. So I'm going to cut it off right there so it doesn't fall into here. And I have these pieces that I have not forgot about. I don't know if I need the always watching part, or if I need it right there, but I want to put this kind of right here as like an embellishment. I'm going to drag these down here and put it in front of the yellow. I'm getting close. I'm not in love with my layout yet, but I'm getting close. Where's that other dude? This dude. Now this dude, hard for him to be over here because he's yellow. So I don't know if I'm going to keep him. I can't keep him. It doesn't feel like he works. And Mike Wazoski is floating. Okay, so I have a number of little things going on here that need to be kind of worked out and fixed. So for the sake of how long this video is, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to come back, work out a few things, and show you what I came up with. Okay, I am back, and this was where I was previously when I stopped the recording and said, I've got to really kind of work this stuff out to see what direction I'm trying to go in. And here is where I am now. And it didn't go the way that I thought it would go because I needed to kind of work out what I was going to do with this layer here. This layer was causing me so much heartache and headache. And so finally I dumped that layer, just got rid of it completely, and then picked up a new kind of design scheme to try and figure out what direction I wanted the layout, the actual flow of the layout. And so I'm just gonna toggle off the visibility of a few layers just so you can see a lot of these embellishment layers because they're not as significant. And I kind of need to go backwards so that I can move forward. And so when I had that original paper up, I was really trying to dress my layout around this paper. And while that actually wasn't too bad, it kind of hurt the design directional flow. And what I mean by that is I tried to do something like this, but because of this strong line here, I just couldn't break out of that. And it was causing a number of issues. It also made it a little bit more heavier on this side, which needed the embellishments. So once I dropped that, got rid of it completely, I just recognized, hey, you need to do something that's going to help you create the design flow that you're looking for. And that's when I took my polygonal lasso tool and drew a shape, which is this shape here, and then clipped that orange paper to it. Kind of thought about using the doors, but then it makes it so busy on this side. The orange, and then instead of just using stark black, I used the black with some stars. And so once I had the directionality down, or the flow of the page, it became so much easier to add the embellishments. So I'm just gonna reveal them as I go along, because it'll start to make sense as far as the layering is concerned. So I added in some monsters to tuck in there. Why not, of course. And then just kind of your stop and go from these two directional points. And I love these little pieces because since they match the orange so well, it kind of looks like they're joining with the paper. They just kind of, a design trick to kind of make them look like they mingled. These I was keeping up just so I could show you what they look like when I deleted them. Mike Wazoski's in there along with his eye. I'm not sure why it's all the way up there. But you know how in all of the photos he took, he was partly missing. I couldn't get his eye hidden enough without you realizing who it was, so his eye is partially hidden. And then I've got some embellishment groupings that I still am working on. The one at top did not change that much, so I'm going to add that one back in there. It's still up there. And that is how far I have gotten at this particular point. And I figured this would be a great point to pop in and work on this title and fine tune a few things. But I definitely got that directional flow that I was looking for. Whereas it really kind of enters the focal point here and brings it all the way down. And that's what I was really struggling with. And that was because I was basing it off a template that had an already, or what I like to call a hook, but it already had a design element that kind of forced me into a position. And sometimes that isn't very helpful. It's not very helpful when you have a design that the template already wants you to fit, but then you find that your photos just don't work. And now you've got to kind of rebuild it. And yes, even that happens to everybody, happens in some way, shape, or form. So one of the things that I wanted to do was put something behind, maybe even flat, just something behind my photos. I could certainly add a stroke to it and leave it black. I might end up doing that just because it feels like it needs something to help separate it from what's going on in the background. So I'll try it out, and if it doesn't work, then I will change it. It may just be that the stroke is just too strong. And it just needs to be just a sliver, just a hair sliver to try. It's like the equivalent of if I inked all of my photo layers. You know how back in the day with paper, you still may be coming from paper, but you'd ink the edges of the photo so they would pop out from the background. It could be something as simple as that. I don't know. I'll play with it. So this flower, I'm just going to move it into position here. And again, this is a layout that if you've made layouts with me before, I usually have an idea of the direction that I need to go in. But some layouts I make from scratch and I record myself doing them like I'm doing for the Saturday scrap so that I can get my scrapbooking in. I mean, heck, this is right before INSD, International Scrapbooking Day 2020. So, I hope to spend some time scrapbooking. If I won't scrapbook this Saturday coming up, then I will more than likely just buy stuff and scrapbook it later. Because that's kind of what I do is, see what the designers are putting out, see what kind of sales I can get. And then I will go grab stuff for the sales and then come back and scrapbook with that kit when I actually have the chance. And that's how it works sometimes. Because Saturdays are typically a little bit more for family for me here. So I've moved my photo down here just because I felt like I didn't need all of Sully's body showing up. Photo was here and I just felt like I didn't need that part. So looking at how I want to do the title, I'm still not digging that orange. I feel it just robs a lot of the work, and I feel like black and white seems to be a better combination just because the contrast that it creates and all of these embellishments that I've added at this point really have their own kind of color story going on. Now I just need to work on figuring out the title. And so I have this font. It's called Alehouse Sands. It's a favorite font of mine because it looks like it's stamped. So I'm going to make this kind of huge. Because, if you're saying the word monster, you're never going to be like, oh my gosh, it's a monster. Whoever whispers, there's a monster. I'm going to turn it this way. I just like how that looks. My style has become a lot more just grungy and I don't even know how to explain it. It's wild, I think is the best way to explain it. And even when I have layouts that have a little bit more going on, I still feel that I break all the rules. Why not? So this thing, what I'm going to do here is I want to blend it. I'm going to do a couple of things here because I can kind of see in my head how I want it to look. There's this M right here, this part, and I want this to blend into it so that you get the black. And then I think I want some yellow right here or orange or something to help balance out all this green and blue. So I'm going to duplicate this one here. I'm going to put it kind of near the bottom. I'm actually going to color burn this one. Let me get rid of that one so you see what happens. I'm going to color burn this one so that it burns into all of the colors here. And without moving that one, I'm just going to change the color to like yellow, but you can see it, right? Yeah. Maybe something a little bit more gold. Yeah, there we go. Something like that. And if I link these two together, then when I move my font or move the text, then, they kind of move together as one, even though they're different colors. And then I can move it down here and it can too become part of this directional flow that I'm trying to create. So I don't want to leave it all the way up here because you can't see it, but like just right down here. Monster. And oh my gosh, it's weird and it's kooky, but I love it. I love weird and kooky now. I don't know why. Like Sully, he's just so big. He was taking up all of the space, all of the room. we go. Just one eye is fine. Okay, there's a lot of eyes in this layout, lots of eyes. This photo right here just bugs me because it has no contrast. It's so flat. So even a soft light will help improve that. Same thing with this photo. It needs a little bit more personality. See how flat that looks? Just add a little soft light, soften it up a bit if you need to. But just something like that just can help take those photos and just, you know, boost them up a notch. Same thing with that. It's just such a flat photo. And that adds a little bit more color and a little bit more saturation and vividness to it. So I have room for journaling now. I still don't, you know, this is part of my title, Monster. I still want to get Mommy's Little in there, but I don't feel like I need to. Oh, I love these little guys. I had one over here that said Scare Floor. Did I delete that one? I feel like it's gone. And all of my, you know, playing around with this layout, I think I deleted a few things that I actually wanted to keep in there. So let me get that back because it was cute. Get that one in there. Tuck it behind a few things too. You know, maybe not the star, but certainly get it in there so it's tucked in there. And I think that's starting to come together pretty good now that I have an obvious flow. It's kind of like the flow is like this. I don't know. Let me try doing something like this so you can see it a little bit better. But the flow ends up kind of looking like this. That's the flow. Like that. And I like that. Oh, I forgot about my glasses from earlier. That would be funny. Put them right there, right? Always watching, always watching. I don't want it to interfere with my title. Kind of want to do something like that. I think that's hilarious to me. And I feel like I want something tiny right there that's orange, red, a different color. These little things that can add to a layout. Maybe the purple. Can always update the color if I feel like I need to. Let's get rid of some of this stuff. Just have it behind the photos, at least. There we go. And I feel like I want it to be red, so I'm going to change the color of that using a hue saturation slider. Let's see, what color do we want? Something like that. Increase the saturation a bit. Not too bad. It feels like it's a jump. 1, 2, 3. But I feel like I need something here to help. Even if we see just a hint of a flower and a hint of some foliage, I feel like I need something to kind of help the eye travel down the page just a little bit more, just a hint of more than what I've got. Little tiny, tiny flower in there. Yeah, he can go in there. Let's twist this up. Okie doke. And maybe one of the stars, or let me see, make sure I'm not missing any embellishments. Oh, I missed my scatters. Yeah, I've always got to have some scatters in there. I don't think I'm missing anything. Oh, where's the sock? Yeah, where's the sock at? Oh, and there's some, I am missing some. Oh, it's up here. Silly me. Totally missed the sock. We have a 2319. Dude, that is a humongous sock. Love it. See how I can angle it and then drop down its thing. Kind of looks like a nose, but I think it's okay. I might put this below the flower in the layers panel. Something like that. So you just get the hint of the sock. And don't need the dots, don't need the ellipses. Trying to think how I want to incorporate a subtitle, because it really is Mommy's Little Monster. I think it'll be good. I might change the color, but I think it'll be good if I do something like this. Maybe soften it up a little bit. Maybe not. I want it in there, but I don't want it to take away from all of the stuff that I have under here, because it's black and already kind of just, it jumps out over here. And if it's yellow, then I don't know if you can see it very well. That's not too bad. Kind of like it should be backwards, you know, it's backwards. How about monster of cuteness? Because that's what I see. Okay, that actually works for me. I like that. And that leaves me to do my journaling. Just make sure I'm just going to fine tune some pieces here. I could certainly add a little bit more down there. I don't know if I need them. Ooh, flags. You know, like the little squirrel who's just like totally looking at something else, and then all of a sudden, ooh, look at that. Look at this, look at that. Let me make sure I get that in there, because it's not like I don't have everything already in there. I can't believe I forgot about Boo. Oh, Boo, I'm sorry, Boo. You know, I would do that, but that doesn't work, does it? Oh, come on. Surely there's enough room in this layout to add Boo. If there isn't, we will make it. How about like that? Definitely not bigger than Sully. Oh, it's just so darling. You know, when they get older and you can't hug on their cheeks and all other stuff we used to do when they were little, you can do scrapbooking and kind of relive some of those moments, you know. Because I could go watch Monsters, Inc., but, you know, they'll just kind of look at me like, what are you watching? Why are you watching that? What's going on? What are you doing? It's kind of like, do I want them here? Do I want to... I'm looking around. It's a big one to try and get in. Okay, I think we will do something like this. Because, of course, she would be with Boo. So, there we go. Or she would be with Sully. I think that works. Okay. And yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Kind of deciding if I need text to double up on the other side, because it just looks so cool over there. You know what I mean? It's linked together. Don't link. There we go. Nope. I want this one. I love when text looks like it's a design element. I don't know if that's going to work, but let's see if we blend it. Yeah, something like that. Do I need it? Does it fit? I kind of like it, actually. Kind of like it. Kind of. Awesome. Okay, take this and try and give it a much more established shadow. Yeah, I don't want the size. I just want it to kind of pop out a little bit more than what it's doing. Instead of, I don't know if I want to blend it, or if I just want to change the color to be, what am I changing colors of? There we go. Okay. To be something close to that. And then dial it up myself. Ooh, I kind of like the gray. Because it's just a color. It doesn't have to necessarily look like it's blending. You know, it could be light as that, but that's way too light. There's a color in here that I'm searching for. Maybe if it was gray, something like that, that might work. I think I like that. And it gives me a chance to add some stuff over here for some text. So let me go ahead and add my text in. First, I'm going to actually build a weird kind of journaling spot or path, and create new path from the selection. And then with that work path, I can type in there. And I might use Georgia. I think I used Georgia for his book. It's black, and his has a higher count as of line height. There we go. And I'm just going to bring that in a little bit. And let me add my text here. And there we go. There's my journaling. Nothing special, just on a path. So that way, you know, it fills in all this extra gap right there instead of just being a block. And I can get it, you know, as close as I need to. But I think that that's pretty good. And, you know, his books always use Georgia. I'm kind of going back and forth whether I should incorporate some new fonts, but I haven't really felt like I needed to do that yet. So we'll see. And I feel like I would be happier with that being gray, all things said. And I know that I could probably look through this and find a couple more other pieces to add. I didn't get a door in. I don't think that's necessarily the most important thing, but I feel like I could add something down here, like a little flower that has another eye, because, you know, why not? Why not add a ton of eyes? It just makes sense to me, but might not make any sense to anyone else. Oh, okay. You know, you could play with layouts until you could not play anymore. And I am certainly one of those people. So at some point I have to say, okay, enough. You've totally added enough layers to this. And if you add another one, Tiff, I'm just going to beat you up. But that's one of the things that comes with, you know, designing stuff, is that it's fun, and there's going to be some things that you add and you don't like, and you have to go into a different direction. This doesn't look anything like I thought it would, but it certainly, oops, his little face, that was kind of scary. It certainly looks good the way that I feel like I would want this layout to look. Okie doke. So I'm happy with how this has come out. I feel like this is something that I could use. I could add to my scrapbook page for my scrapbook page for my son for his album, and be super happy every time I saw it. It looks like his personality. It looks like a little bit of my personality somewhere mixed in there. And I think one day he'll grow to appreciate this page. I really, really do. There is this thing here that I'm kind of thinking I might add down here just to finish it off with. And I didn't forget this time. Totally Did not forget my anchors. I don't never see a lot of staples in people's stuff anymore, but bring it back. But things like these, rivets, scatters, things that I can throw on the page and just go boom, just adding little pieces of on top of it. I feel like it makes a lot of fun and brings some kind of energy into all of the pieces. I certainly don't need it at the top, but just drag it behind a few certain layers so that it just pops out. That's a lot of little sprinkling, but I think that looks really cool. And there was something at the tops of these pieces. I'm scrolling here in Bridge at the top. These little sparkles, glitter sparkles. Isn't that cool? I don't think I've used these I think maybe I've seen something like this, but I don't feel like I have. And I've worked with Flurgs on her classes and stuff. And I know I've seen her design these. So I'm not sure exactly, where I've seen her use them, but I haven't seen them, where's the best place to always put them. But totally using them. Just not sure. Let's do it there. There we go. Cool. I think that looks great. If you followed me through this whole thing, wow, congratulations. Thank you for joining me. I am going to piece this together into some type of cool looking template that uses the where to put their title, how to help the directional flow. I'm going to put something together so that you guys can use this type of layout on your own. I want to say happy scrapbooking to you. Please enjoy International Scrapbooking Day. And this is brought to you by Tiffany Emanuel. I'm over at scrappineers.com. We also have our free society that you can join, and we have a number of classes that you can pick up too if you want to learn more about digital scrapbooking. Until our next Saturday scrap, happy scrapbooking.